Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Siddhesh and team. Okay. Say
Okay,
all
sir.
of you good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, sir.
Sir.
Good morning, sir.
Everybody is alive.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
How is your health and nutritional status?
Fine, sir.
Good, sir.
According to your
Sir,
knowledge-
Benki.
Good
Sir,
morning.
Benki.
Not bad, sir.
Good.
Benki, sir.
Okay, according to your mind and body, you are good. True or false?
True, sir. True, sir.
Yes, sir.
In the last class, I was taking food microbiology. Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
A small chapter for us, and it was completed. Now I shall take up the new chapter, Principles and Methods of Processing and Preservation and its Advantages. It is very basic. What is the principles behind processing?
Login details. ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ?
1 year.
ಅದು ಬೇಕಾ book ನಿಮ್ಗೆ? ಅದು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿ.
ಬರ್ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ಲಾ?
ಹೇಳಿ.
1 AG
1 AG
KVK. ಅಂದ್ರೆ 1 A GKVK at gmail.com.
ಆಮೇಲೆ
ಪಾಸ್ವರ್ಡ್ GKVK at 1 2 3. ದೊಡ್ಡ ಬಿಗ್ G. ಇನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್.
ಮಾಡಿ.
Good morning. Okay. The fundamental aim or objectives of food processing and preservation is whatever the food that we are growing, which cannot be consumed in the same time. And we cannot grow all the foods in all the season. Therefore, we have to process and preserve them. What are those? I told you in the beginning the definition of food processing, that is one form to another form. Preservation, the name itself is preserve for future preservation. What and how do you preserve? Because of food is going to be spoiled. It is a perishable. You cannot keep for them for life. You have to preserve. How do you preserve? With low temperature and high temperature. Microbes cannot multiply. Therefore, you have to use at low temperature and high temperature. Other spoilage, contamination, growth, insect also, enzymatic changes, all and chemical action.
Yeah.
So voice is not clear, sir.
Sir, voice cut ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ.
Voice is not clear, sir.
Sir, voice is not clear, sir.
Sir.
Sir. Sir, voice is not.
Sir, voice is not clear, sir.
Sir, voice ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, sir.
ನಾಳೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಬಿಡಿ.
Sir, voice ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, sir.
ಅಲ್ಸರ್ರೇ ಇಲ್ವಲ್ಲ.
ಸರ್ ಸರ್
ಎಕ್ಸಿಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಎಕ್ಸಿಟ್ ಆಗ್ರೋ.
ತಡ್ರೋ ಎಕ್ಸಿಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಡ ತಡ್ರೋ.
ಗವಿಸಿದ್ದೇಶ್ ಸರ್ಗೇನು ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಡ ಬಿಡು, ಸಾಕು ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಮುಗೀತು.
ತಡಿ ನೋಡೋಣ ತಡಿ 5 ನಿಮಿಷ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಇರ್ರಿ ನೋಡೋಣ.
ನಾನು ಅವ್ರೇನ್ ಸರಿಗೆ ಧನುಷ ಧನುಷ
ಹಾ ಹೇಳ
ಧನುಷ
ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್.
ಗುಡ್ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ವೀರೇಶ್ ಸರ್.
ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಿ ವೀರೇಶ್ ಸರ್.
ಸರ್ ಬಂದಾರ ತಡೀರು.
ಎಲ್ಲವ್ರು ಸರ್?
ಸರ್ ಬಂದಾರ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ. ಸರ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ಸರ್
ಸರ್
ವೀರೇಶ್ ಸರ್
ಹೇಳೋ ಬೈ.
ಹೇಳ್ತಿದಲ್ಲ
ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಇಲ್ಲೋ.
ಅಲ್ಲ ಏನೋ ಕರ್ದಲ್ಲ ನನ್ನ, ಏನೋ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ದೆ.
ತಡೀರೋ ಸರ್ ಬರತ್ತಾರ. ವೀರೇಶ್ ಸರ್ ನೀವ್ ಒಂದ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ ಸರ್. ಬ್ಯಾಡ ಮಚ್ಚ, ಸರ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ.
ಬೈಕಲ್ಲಿ ಕುತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಫೋಟೋ ಹೊಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದ.
ಸರ್ ಏನೋ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಏನು ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾನಿಲ್ಲ.
ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ.
ವಿಡಿಯೋ ನೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು.
ತಡ್ರೋ ಸರ್ ಇದಾರ ತಡ್ರೋ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ.
ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡವ್ರೆ.
ಐತ್ ತಡಿ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ.
ಈಗ ಹಲೋ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್, can you hear
Yes
now?
ma'am. Yes ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, he will continue now.
Okay.
ಆಡಿಯೋ ನಾಟ್.
Now I am talking to you food processing. Okay.
Yes sir. Yes sir.
Number 1, removal of unwanted matter from the food. Number 2, making food safe for consumption, fit for consumption. And number 3, increasing the digestibility. If you take food into the body, if it is not digested properly, it is of waste. Therefore, increasing the digestibility, that is the third objective of food processing. The fourth objective of food processing is enhance flavor, color, and taste. Enhance flavor, color, and taste. Okay.
sir, what is first and second?
ಸರ್ ನಿಮ್ದು ಆಡಿಯೋ ಹೋಯ್ತು ಸರ್.
Okay.
ಆಡಿಯೋ
Banta?
ಬರ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ಇವಾಗ ಬಂದ್ ಸರ್.
Okay. Huh? Then
ಸರ್
What is first and
increasing
second?
digestibility, enhance flavor,
Mr. Gopal, you can ask in the last. At the
Okay,
last, you can ask.
Okay. Then enhance flavor, color, and taste. Number 5, improving the texture and consistency. That is one of the acceptability factors of food. Then minimizing the nutrient loss. I told you in the earlier classes, the processed foods are nutritionally less over the raw food, but the processed food is convenient. Therefore, you have to minimize the nutrient loss when we are doing food processing and preservation. Extending the shelf life, that is very, very important. You have to keep the keep or store the food for longer time, because we cannot grow all the foods in all the season. Therefore, extending the shelf life, because apart from removing unwanted spoil and harmful matter and subjecting the food for temperature outside the danger zone, all process such as dehydration, cold storage, canning, and pasteurization are aimed at preservation of food. Another important 8th objectives of food processing and preservation is increasing the acceptability through fabricated foods, modified foods, that is standardized foods, and value-added foods. All these things is finally it is called fabricated, modified. That is the aim of or objectives of food processing. Next, I will talk to you some of the principles involved in the food preservation. What are those? The basic principles of food preservation primarily involves the process of inhibition of microorganisms. The microorganisms are waiting. If more moisture, they will getting into the food. Therefore, see our rice, wheat, ragi, etc., the storage temperature that you have to reduce to 10 to 12%. Otherwise, if it is more than that, you cannot store them. Okay? Because the growth and activity of microorganism, activity of endangerous enzymes, invasion and spoilage of insects and rodents, inhibiting the growth and activity of microorganism. This can be achieved by keeping the microorganisms, that is aseptic. Okay? Removing the microorganisms, examples by filtration, hindering the growth and activity of microorganisms by low temperature and drying, creating the anaerobic condition, use of chemicals, use of antibiotics, and killing the microorganism, examples by heat or radiation, all these things to be employed. And inhibit the activity of endangerous enzymes. How? This can be achieved by destruction or inactivation of food enzymes. For example, blanching. What is blanching? Dipping the fruits and vegetables in hot water. So you cannot eradicate 100% microorganisms, insects, pests, but you can reduce the load by dipping in the hot water. Okay, it is one of the basic method. Some of the methods of preservation or processing, we have to classify them based on the perishability of the food. Perishable. Okay, some are semi-perishable, some of the foods can be kept for 100 years, longer time. short time. Based on that, perishable foods, semi-perishable foods, non-perishable foods. Okay. Then what are the methods? Methods of preservation, that is use of high temperature. High temperature destroy the microorganism by denaturation of cells. That is 63 centigrade, bacteria stop multiplying. Then thermal death time, TDT, and that is pasteurization. Pasteurization, which involves application of temperature below 100 degrees centigrade. This process serves two objectives. What are those? Pasteurization serves two objectives. Number one, it destroys the pathogenic organisms associated with food. Then second objective, extend the products of shelf life by decreasing the microbial population and inactivating some of the enzymes. Okay. I am talking to is use of high temperatures. Okay. Next, bottling or holding pasteurization. Bottling is holding pasteurization, commonly used for the preservation of fruit juices at home. The extracted juice is strained and filled in the bottles. The bottles are then sealed airtight and pasteurized. Then flash pasteurization. There are types of flash pasteurization. And sterilization, everybody knows. The collection of microorganism is known as sterilization of food. It also adversely affects the properties of foods. I told you the processed foods is nutritionally less over the raw food because processed foods are always convenient. Okay, I told you what is blanching. Blanching is dipping in the water. Canning is the process in which foods are heated, hermetically sealed. Okay, in the presence of fire or heat, you have to fill the food products in a container and sealed with under the fire or high temperature. The temperature used for the above is 100 degrees centigrade. It is used in the preservation of fruits and vegetables, fish, meat, etc. And preservatives are added to the food. Aseptic canning, okay, it is there should not be septic. You have studied in microbiology and elementary school itself what is septic and what is non-septic. Okay, aseptic canning, that is rapid sterilization of high temperature is referred to as high ultra temperature, that is UHT. Okay, it is based on the type of microorganism we are employing the temperature to kill those microorganisms. Okay, then use of low temperature. Everybody have a refrigerator. Refrigerator is low temperature. At low temperature and high temperature, the growth and multiplication of microorganisms will be arrested. Okay. Low temperature preserve food by retarding chemical reaction, enzymatic action, and growth and activity of microorganisms. At low temperature, microorganisms are not killed, and since food will be preserved. At low temperature, microorganisms are not killed, and since food is already have a microbial load, microorganisms will multiply once the temperatures become favorable. In India, infectious diseases are more because of the congenial atmospheric temperature. Congenial atmospheric temperature, 32 degrees centigrade, 30 degrees centigrade. I told you in the food microbiology itself, what is the ideal temperature in which growth and multiplication of microorganisms occur? That is 32 degrees centigrade. 32 degrees centigrade in India is common. Okay. Okay, therefore the infectious diseases are more. Then refrigeration and chilling. What is the temperature 1 degree centigrade to 4 degree centigrade to prevent food from spoilage for short periods, and it is merely retards the decay, but frozen foods keep at what is the frozen temperature minus 18 degrees centigrade. Preserve food for a year, and it and at minus 28 degrees centigrade, food can be preserved for up to 2 years. Suppose India is exporting meat from India to some of the oil producing countries, OPEC countries, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. They are importing meat, particularly beef from India. It takes 3 months from India to OPEC countries. There you have to maintain minus 18 degree from production till reaches to the consumers. It's a very difficult task. That's why the cost of the final product will be more. I told you in the earlier classes. Okay. Then you have to maintain chilling temperature, retard microbial growth and biochemical changes, which affects the color, texture, flavor. If to gain something, you have to lose something. Okay. The acceptability factors are retention of acceptability factors like color, flavor is difficult in the processing and preservation. Okay. Then freezing. Freezing, I told you, food is preserved for long periods by reducing the temperature to minus 18 degrees centigrade or lower. At this temperature, water present in food is converted into ice, and the literature is provided that you can read and observe. Whatever the doubts comes to your mind, you put a question mark and ask me. Okay. Blast freezers. Okay. In this cold air, again minus 18 degrees centigrade to 34 degrees centigrade. That was freezing temperature minus 18 to 28. Now is blast freezers. Again, it depends upon the microorganisms involved and type of food products. Based on that, the employment of the temperature. Okay. Then flat freezers, immersion freezers, spray freezers, freeze flow, all these things it is given. Cook, freeze. Then the another third method, use of chemicals, that is preservatives. Okay. I told you first one is use of high temperature, second one is use of low temperature. The third one is use of chemicals, that is preservatives. A preservative is any substance which retards the deterioration of food, which is going to arrest the growth and multiplication of microbes. Maybe it stops the deterioration of food. There are two groups of preservatives used in the food. Simply and basically, we are classifying these preservatives: class 1 preservatives, class 2 preservatives. What are class 1? The class 1 is include our commonly using sugar, salt, glucose, alcohol, spices, vinegar, and acetic acid, and honey, wood, smoke. And there is no restriction by law in the addition of these substances in food. That is called preservative, class 1 preservatives. Okay. This can be used only. And second, class 2 preservatives, this class includes chemicals which inhibit the growth of microbes and can be added to certain foods only in defined permitted limits. For food A, groups of food A, for fruits and vegetables, for meat and meat products, this amount is permitted. this chemicals is permitted, like that. Okay, permitted limits, advisable daily intake, like that. There are usually added at the end of the processing operation, and their presence has to be mentioned in the label. That is, there is a restriction on the use of these preservatives in food by law. They include salts of benzoic acid, fumaric acid, sulfurous acid, nitrates, and nitrites of sodium, potassium, sorbic, propionic, acetic, nisin, and antibiotic is also used for the preservation of cheese. Okay. All these things, what are class 1 preservatives, what are class 2 preservatives, which are commonly used in food processing and preservation, I have given in the table. You can see the table. What are class 1 preservatives? Examples. What are class 2 preservatives? And benzoic acid and its salts. Example, sodium benzoate, tomato sauce, where they are using. All these things is provided to you. Okay. What are class 1 preservatives, where they are using commonly? What are class 2 preservatives, where they are commonly using? It is given in the table. Okay. Next, the controlled atmospheric storage. What is the use of controlled atmospheric storage? Your food will be safe. I told you the definition of drying and dehydration. Okay, drying, the concepts and principles is same. What, reducing the moisture content in the food or any matter. That is the drying and dehydration. But what is the drying? You can dry under sun, wherever temperature is available, but it is not safe, it is not hygiene. So dehydration is, the principle is same. You are drying the product or reducing the moisture under controlled condition, controlled atmospheric condition, where there is dirt, dust is not there. Okay, that is controlled atmospheric condition. Okay, lowering the temperature, reducing the available oxygen, increasing the carbon dioxide concentration. There is a control over for all these things. That is controlled atmospheric storage. Okay, you can read once, you can get the the fourth important method is drying methods and its importance. What are drying methods? Solar drying, drying under sun. Okay, advantages and disadvantages I already told you. Advantages is very cheap, CHEAP, cheap. Okay, cheap, but you cannot ensure hygiene. Then drying is solar drying, advantages and disadvantages. Vacuum drying. Okay, what is vacuum drying? This place the object to be dried in an enclosed container to vent air and reduce the pressure with the vacuum pump in order to artificially increase the water vapor partially. So you can read what is the vapor drying and other things. Okay. Freeze drying. What is freeze drying? In this process, dehydration of food is to be dried. Is first frozen in the cabinet. The vacuum is created by pumping out the air and the cabinet, like that. What is heat preservation? Applying heat. Then food concentration. What is food concentration? IMF foods. Intermediary moisture food. Suppose, what is the percentage of water present in the fruits and vegetables? Around 90%. If you transport from Bangalore to Delhi, it takes time and space, everything. Okay, logic difficult, and it is so wherever it is necessary, convenient. People who are working in this space, working in the military, isolated place, you cannot carry the food articles big quantity, so you can reduce the moisture content to 50%. Dehydration, removal of water. Rehydration, you can increase that also. You can read all those things. Okay. Food concentration, concentrated food, dried foods, dry nuts, all these things, dry fruits, where you will reduce the temperature, water content. Advantages are there, disadvantages there. Food irradiation, application of gamma radiations. Okay, it is a debatable issue, food irradiation, but you should know. You should use at low dose, medium doses, high doses. There is a regulations from the government organizations. Okay, low doses. Okay. Then applications. So where these food preservation methods is going to be applied? Application: tenderizing or aging of meat. Tenderization, soften.
ಸರ್ ನಿಮ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಹೋಯ್ತು ಸರ್. ಸರ್ ನಿಮ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಹೋಗಿದೆ ಸರ್.
ಎರಡು ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡವ್ರೆ.
ಸರ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಸರ್?
ಇರಾ ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೊತ್ತು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಈಗ ವಾಯ್ಸ್?
ಸರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೇಳಿದೆ ಸರ್.
ಸುಮ್ನೆ ಕೇಳ್ರ, ಸುಮ್ನೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ
ಆಯ್ತು.
ಫರ್ಮೆಂಟೇಶನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಫುಡ್ ಮೈಕ್ರೋಬಯಾಲಜಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿದೀನಿ. ಸೊ I told you what is the uses of fermentation, what exactly what are the benefits of food fermentation, all these things. Okay?
Yes sir.
Yes or no?
Yes sir. Yes.
Okay. Application of fermentation in food preservation. Yeah, fermentation is one of the oldest method. Any other methods of preservation such as drying, salting, sugaring, pickling have the common objectives of decreasing the number of microorganisms in food or holding them against further multiplication. Okay, arrest the growth and multiplication of microbes. In fermentation, multiplication of microorganisms and their metabolic activities are encouraged. Here it is different, encouraged. However, the organisms that are encouraged to grow and multiply are the select groups. You have studied useful microorganisms and unuseful microorganisms, like that. whose metabolic products help in food preservation. The term preservation, fermentation you have studied and I have given. Okay. It produces the flavor, texture changes. The products are more nutritious than unfermented, synthesize several vitamins and other growth factors, useful, and which is going to be increasing the digestibility of the food, all these things. Okay. With this methods of food preservation and food processing chapter is over. Okay. In the next class, I will take introduction to food and nutrition. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
See you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. See you. Okay.
Bye, sir. Bye.
Bye.
ಬಾಯ್ ಸರ್ ಹುಷಾರಾಗಿರಿ ಸರ್ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ.
What do you wanted to say? Tell me.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಬಾಯ್ ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಯಾವ್ದು ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ವಲ್ರ ಎಲ್ಲ
ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
ಯಾರ್ ಸ್ಲೀಪಿಂಗ್
ಭಾರ್ಗವ್
Yes, sir. We are sleeping, sir.
ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಬಿಡಿ ಸರ್ ಅವರು.
ಗವಿಸಿದ್ದೇಶ್
Sir, ಅವ್ರು ಮಲ್ಕೊಂಡಿದಾರೆ ಸರ್. ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಲ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ನಿಜ ಸರ್ ಮಲ್ಕೋತಾರ ಸರ್ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಬಿಜಿ ಸರ್.
ನೋಡಿ ಸರ್, ನೀವ್ ಇಷ್ಟ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಒಬ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ಯಾಕೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ?
ಎಲ್ಲಾರು ಮಲ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್. ಮಲ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್, ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಿಜಿ ಸರ್ ಅವರು.
ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್
ಎಲ್ಲಾರು ಮಲ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್.
ಸರ್ ಭರ್ಜರಿ ಟಿಫಿನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಲ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಾರ ಸರ್.
ಸರ್ ಗುಡ್ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಸರ್.
ಗುಡ್ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್.
ಆಯ್ತು ಬಿಡಿ ಸರ್. ಬಾಯ್ ಸರ್. ಬಾಯ್ ಸರ್.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್. ಸಿ ಯು ಸರ್.
ಸರ್ ಗುಡ್ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಸರ್.
ಸರ್